How to brew hojicha is something we are often asked about. In this video, we're going to take a deep dive into hojicha tea brewing, including the best hojicha brewing temperature, hojicha tea brewing time, and more. We'll also cover what hojicha tea is and what makes it so special in the world of tea. Before we get started, it would really mean a lot to us if you could subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay tuned for future tea videos. We have hundreds of videos on all sorts of topics related to Japanese green tea, but for this episode, we're going to focus on hojicha specifically. Without further ado, let's get started. Before we learn how to brew hojicha tea, let's briefly discuss what this tea is. Hojicha is a type of Japanese roasted tea. Although the leaves are brown and the color of the liquid is reddish-orange, this is not a black tea, but rather a green tea. What makes green teas and black teas different is that green teas are unoxidized. Hojicha is an unoxidized tea that is roasted to give it a unique flavor, color, and aroma. What does hojicha taste like? Because hojicha is a roasted tea, it takes on much more of these warmer notes like coffee, caramel, and chocolate. Some lighter roasted hojicha fall on the sweeter side of the spectrum, with flavors of caramel, while other darker roasted hojichas like the cookie hojicha tend to taste like dark chocolate or black coffee. Hojicha brewing instructions. When it comes to brewing hojicha tea, there are only a few simple steps to follow. It is much more forgiving compared to other types of Japanese green tea, so it can be an easy way to begin your tea journey. Step 1. Measure out 5 grams of leaves and place them in the bottom of your Japanese teapot. Step 2. Now you can pour in 150 milliliters of water. For this, you can use a hojicha brewing temp of 175 degrees Fahrenheit or 80 degrees Celsius. Step 3. Put the lid on the teapot to keep the tea warm and let it sit undisturbed. You can use a hojicha brewing time of 1 minute minimum, but feel free to let it sit longer if you appreciate a more powerful flavor. Step 4. After you've followed all the previous hojicha tea brewing instructions, it's time to pour out your tea. If you're pouring the tea for multiple people, make sure you use the alternate pouring method so each person ends up with the same amount of flavor. As long as you master the amount of leaves to use, what temperature water to use, and how long to brew hojicha, you should be able to start preparing great tasting cups of hojicha tea in no time. Why is the hojicha brewing temp higher? When it comes to the hojicha brewing temperature, you can go much higher than you would with other types of Japanese green tea. The reason we recommend a lower brewing temperature for most types of Japanese green teas is because the catechins in the tea are extracted at hotter temperatures, and these can quickly overpower the flavor of the tea, making it bitter. Because hojicha has less of these grassy or astringent catechins, you can use a higher brewing temperature and not end up with quite as much bitterness. In addition to the brewing temperature being higher, the hojicha brew time can also be longer. This harder method of brewing will ensure that you extract plenty of that roasted flavor from the tea. Ultimately, how long to brew hojicha comes down to how strong you want the flavor, so as long as you don't mind this intense roasted tea flavor, you can let the tea brew for 2 minutes or more. If you don't have a teapot at home and you want to brew hojicha in a single cup, you can simply use a tea strainer. Put the tea strainer over the cup, add 5 grams of tea leaves into the strainer, and then fill it up with water. You can use the same temperature and brewing time as you did in the previous example. If you're interested in trying hojicha tea for yourself, you can get a great assortment from our website. The Hojicha Noike, for example, is a great tea for beginners. It's a sweeter, light-roasted hojicha coming from a talented farmer in Kyoto. Many people report loving this tea, even those that don't have much experience with Japanese green tea. When you order tea from us, you're not only helping to support this channel, but also helping us to support the dozens of talented farmers we work with all around Japan. We believe that by sharing these farmers' stories and their teas with people all around the world, we can help to transition the tea industry into a more positive, sustainable direction. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have any questions about hojicha or green tea in general, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. Until then, we'll see you next time.